Yes. No way. Oh my God.
Very subtle.
Unbelievable. Oh. And he missed it. Oh my God. Ooh la la.
Boom, no chance.
That's crazy. Game, set, and match.
This is too much.
Hi everybody, we are back to Indian Wells and I'm a bit late, but I'm not late in a way because I was supposed to be there for the match between Dimitrov and Alcaraz, and this match didn't start yet because the two matches before were very long. The first one was a women's match between Rybakina and Hailey Batiste, and Rybakina won in 3 sets, and the second one is still playing, so we're gonna talk about this match because it's Novak Djokovic who is in the third set, 2-1 down with no break against Marjchak. It's a surprise to see Novak in a third set. I would say it's a semi-surprise because last year he reached the semifinals of the 4 Grand Slams. But on the other hand, in a lot of Masters 1000, he lost in the first round because he's really struggling to be motivated in those tournaments. And just to say a few words, because of course I was watching the match and I saw the stats which confirm my feeling, which is that he's struggling to be motivated. He really lacks a lot of intention. He plays shots. Novak is really the master in tactics. He knows exactly how to manipulate the opponent. And when he doesn't have the motivation, he just plays shots without kind of any sense. That's why he's struggling a lot from the baseline. And also he makes a lot of unforced errors because he doesn't really have a plan, I think. Just so the stats, I was telling you about the stats that, say a lot. So listen to that. In the first set, Novak lost twice in serve. Twice, serving 80% of first serves and winning 75 on first serve, which is crazy. But he won only 20% on second serves. And listen to this one. He won the second set 6-1, winning 85% on first serve, which is normal when it comes to winning 6-1. But he won only 33% on second. So basically what it's saying is whenever he has to play a rally, he's making unforced errors. He doesn't have directions in his game. It's a weird match. Clearly in the second set, he refused to be beaten in 2 sets, which he accepted last year a few times, by the way, in the Masters 1000. So it looks like he wants to win this one. He just struggled a lot in the first set. So we're back in the match. I just want to tell you a few things about what happened earlier. There was a very good match between Fonseca and Khachanov, which was a bit crazy because Fonseca had too much points in the second set, 6-4 in the tiebreak for him, but Fonseca won in 3 sets, 6-4 in the third. I would say not the same thing, of course, as Novak because Fonseca has everything to prove. Novak has nothing to prove, but I felt that Fonseca was really hitting shots in the first set without really accepting the rally, accepting to fight and build, making also a lot of unforced errors. He was going for the winner way too early in the rally, and slowly his game started to be set, I would say. He started to accept to build, accept to rally, accept to fight the points, and he ended up playing great. And the third set, I think, was amazing. He had an early break and he kept it until the end. Very, very solid. I hope this match is going to really give him the direction for his game because he's such a good player. He has so much potential, but the fact that he has very good results sometimes and very bad results some other times. I think one of the reasons is this one is a lot of matches he wants to hit too hard, hit winners too early in the rally and refuses that rally. So that was one result. The second one was Draper, who also had a tough match. He won in 3 sets against Bautista Agut, losing the first set. But those two guys who are the future of tennis, not the only 2 guys, but some of those guys who can be the future of tennis, passed their first round. For Draper, it was very important because he won the tournament last year, so losing early would have been really a big deception. But he found a way to win, and he's going to play against Cerundolo in his second round. Cerundolo, who beat Ponzi 7-6 in the third in a tough match. Ruud won his first match. Kovacevic, who beat Mute in 2 sets. And we have a lot of great matches coming up. We have Rublev, who's struggling against Diallo. He's 3-1 down in the third set at the moment against Diallo. And we have still to come Medvedev, Humbert, a lot of good matches. Fritz, Nori, Bublik. So all those matches are going to take place later today. Let's go back to Novak. After Novak, as you know, we're going to have the chance to see the match between Carlos Alcaraz and Grigor Dimitrov, which is very promising, even though Dimitrov is not at his best after a long injury. And he needed a surgery. But, on a match like this, I guess he will be able to find his best tennis. And those 2 guys had crazy great matches in the past. So, yeah, Novak on all the big moments was just hoping for the unforced error of his opponent, playing a lot on his forehand because that's his weak spot. Hi, Chiver5. Oh, that's your first time on the chat, so welcome. Happy to see you and happy to watch those matches with you. We're so excited by Indian Wells. It's such an amazing tournament. I mean, a lot of players consider this as the best tournament out of the Grand Slams by far. And it's the one that is the closest to the Grand Slams. First in terms of length, even though now there are many Masters 1000 on 10 days, this one last 10 days, but also in terms of the size of the facility that is incredible. Such a big facility and an amazing one, so beautiful. And it's a tournament that the fans love because most of the places that are a very good rally for Novak, who now fights every point. You know, all the facilities for the players, which usually are indoors, the players' lounge, the fitness, a lot of those are outdoor. And thanks to that, the fans can watch the players do everything. Practice, so they have access to the practice courts. There is a big grass on which the players play football, play American football, warm-ups, interact, and all the fans can see that. So that's why they really love it. It's really different from the other tournaments. And the place, Indian Wells, is beautiful to a point that is outrageously beautiful, I would say, with those mountains behind. Every year I take pictures when I go there because I watch my player practice and I think, oh my God, the view is a joke, complete joke. So I take pictures and every time I'm disappointed by the pictures because I think they don't give credit to how this place is incredible. Well done. Marjchak comes back to deuce, and I would say on what I've seen that Novak can do more. He accepts to slice even though his opponent is coming to the net. He had time to make one more step if he was in a Grand Slam. He would do that extra step and go passing shot down the line. But as is here, he accepts to make a slow slice and Marjchak hits the winning volley. Rublev is 1-4 down now. Starts to be really dangerous for the Russian. Oh, that's the typical Novak return. Very deep. Middle, which is the best return. I explained this, by the way, in one of my last posts on Instagram. When you return a first serve, always aim center deep for a few simple reasons. The first one is because when you land after you serve, you're inside the court, and when the ball comes deep center at you, you have no chance to adjust. And most of the time, the only thing you can do is slow down the pace and play a shot that is short, and then the returner has a good chance to dictate or even win the point straight away. And second, the ball comes so fast in your racket. It all comes with the angle of your racket with the ball, and it comes so fast. If the angle is not perfect, the ball is going to be 1 meter right or left. If you aim for the sides and you don't hit the ball perfect, the ball is going to be out. If you aim deep center, even though the angle is not great, it's going to be 1 meter to the right or to the left, but the ball is going to be in. That's why. And Novak does this incredibly well. And while I was talking, it just broke. And he looks extremely happy, determined, which is great to see because, again, last year in the same tournament, he lost in the first round in his first match. Well, second round technically, but in his first match. And the motivation definitely wasn't there. Same in other tournaments like Monte Carlo, lost also in his first match. You know, he did this a lot last year. And I personally think it's a mistake because, I mean, of course he's Novak, of course he has this crazy experience, but he wants to win a Grand Slam. That's why he's still playing. When you get used to losing those matches, you want it or you don't want it, but it affects a little bit of your confidence, and you need full confidence when it comes to playing a Grand Slam semi. Second thing, on clay, for example, he was not motivated. He lost all his matches, and then he had to go and play a tournament the week before Roland Garros because he needed to win some matches on clay. He ended up winning the tournament, but when you win the tournament the week before a Grand Slam and then reach the semifinals, you are dead physically. And actually he was half injured, and I don't think he can afford to do that. When he is going to play Yannick or Carlos in a semis of a Grand Slam, he needs to be fit, fully fit. So he has to avoid playing the week before. So he needs to win the matches before the week before. And actually, look, Australian Open, he was fully fit. He got a bit lucky with a player who retired during the match, one who pulled out. And then he had the chance to be fit physically. That's not the only reason why he won, but he would not have won this match if he was not fully physically fit. So that's very important. Okay, back to the match. 3-2 Novak break in the third against Marjchak. Hi, Anne-Philippe. I'm good, thank you. It's 45 past midnight in France now. But look, we're in Indian Wells. We're watching Indian Wells, so we're lucky. What's my opinion about his performance? I think he was not the best that we know. You're talking about Novak, I guess. I just explained when we started the stream that was far from the best Novak, especially in the first set. And I gave some figures, some data. I mean, imagine he was broken twice, Novak, in the first set, serving 80% of first serves. How is it possible? Just that when the rally starts, he was making a lot of unforced errors, and didn't look like he had a plan when he was playing the points. Listen to this other statistic. He won 20% of the points only in the first set on his second serve. 20%. And in the third, that he won 6-1, he won only 33% of the points on his second serve. But he served way better. He won 95% of points on his first. 85. But because of the last game, because before the last game, at 5-1, he was at 93% of points won on his first serve. Yeah, you're right, Shorty 13-11. He chose slice way too much, and when he was moved to the side, even just 2 meters, he was choosing to slice because he didn't really make the physical effort to be a bit faster, make one extra step and hit the ball back with power. Yeah, so we have to say also that today it's a bit windy, and the fact that it's a bit windy is even more of a problem when it comes to slice because the ball is floating way more, and this might play a role today for the match between Alcaraz and Dimitrov because Dimitrov uses the slice a lot. 4-2 Novak, who's now has become way more solid after losing the first set. They're showing the view now on TV. That's unreal. Those mountains, this is ridiculous how beautiful that is. So you have the palm trees and the incredible mountains behind. It looks like it's a movie and it's not for real. For the cinema, they create those backdrops. It doesn't look real. The last backhand of Novak, that's an example. Strange choice. There is no reason to play that shot. He plays completely static, that drop shot. But in the second and the third set, he played way less of those. And Philip is asking me, what is the white thing Novak is wearing in his hand? You mean his arm, I guess. It became very trendy. And I think it's a trend more than anything. And I think Novak has an endorsement with this company who does those things. Because I saw yesterday he was at the booth signing autographs of that brand. But I don't think he has any kind of problem. The same thing again. This same drop shot in the same position. Actually, not a great drop shot, and this time he's lucky. Hi, Linda. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for the hearts. 2 hours. Yeah, those first two matches, the the women's match and then this one, are lasting a lot. Tomorrow is going to be a bit earlier because in California, you're losing 1 hour. So the matches will be 1 hour earlier tomorrow, which is good for us. Second serve, same drop shot. 3 times. He does the backhand drop shot down the line. He missed 2. And the third one, he was lucky that he won the point because it was not a good one. I don't know why he keeps doing it. I'm not in Novak's head, but sometimes when he's not mentally really focused, he can do some strange things. Especially 15-30 would have been, if he takes this point seriously, he can have 2 break points in a row for 5-2 and the match is almost finished. Okay, 40. Great return, this one. Nothing to say. Second serve, boom. Forehand return down the line winner for Novak. And now that's probably the most important point of that match because if Novak makes it, it's almost a match point. And the same drop shot, but this time it's Marjchak who makes it. Oh, it's in. I mean, that was in for 1 millimeter. And Novak thinks it's out. So he's a bit pissed. It looked out to me too. But it touched the line. Yeah, we can see on Novak's side it's very windy. You can see on his shirt the wind blowing. And now a backhand miss down the line from Novak. Diallo's break is lost. Good return again from Novak. Linda, I see your messages. It's a big improvement because I used to not see your messages. Now I see them. Deuce. Yeah, so Rublev broke back. 4-3 Diallo. But no more break. Oh la la. Again, when players do what Novak just did, it just shows that they're not really into the match. His opponent plays a forehand, deep center, slow, and Novak doesn't play it thinking he's going to be out. And at the end, he hits the ball, but thinking the ball is going to is out, and he misses. Double fault for Marjchak. This game is really indecisive. Novak is talking to his box a lot, but he doesn't look angry. 5 double faults for Novak. Yes. Shorty 13-11. I think you're right. I think the wind slowed down, and actually it looks like it's more on Novak's side than on Marjchak's side. But yeah, in the first set, the wind was much stronger. Third game point for Marjchak in that game. Yeah, Marjchak misses a lot when it comes to his forehand. So on most of the important points in the match, Novak just direct the ball on his forehand, hoping for the miss. And that's exactly what just happened in the last point. Oof, what a backhand from Marjchak. Incredible backhand. Down the line, on the line. Down the line and on the line. Beautiful. Yes, Shorty 13-11. Thank you for reminding us that the slowest ace in the history. That was a miss-hit. The ball of the server hit the frame. The ball went extremely slow, but because it hit the frame, there was a backspin, and when the ball hit the service box, it went back, and it was an ace. That's crazy. The order of play for tomorrow. Oh, we have great matches tomorrow. We have Shelton versus Tien. That's a great one. We have Sinner against Shapovalov. Shapovalov, who played a fantastic match against Stefanos Tsitsipas. Unbelievable level. Especially the first set was really impressive. And Coco Gauff against Eala, who is probably the player with the most fans when it comes to being inside the stadium. The atmosphere is unbelievable. So that's going to be a fun match to watch. What a rally. And Novak won it. 5-2 double break. And that's a huge option to win that match. I don't remember if it's a wind thing or not, maybe. The reason why he hit that ace, slowest ace in the history. But that was fun. That was a French player. What was his name? I can't remember his name. That hit that ace. And believe it or not, this match is crazy between Diallo and Rublev because Diallo broke again and now he's 5-3 up, serving for the match against Rublev. Which match are we going to do tomorrow? I don't know. Very tempting to do the Shelton Teen or the Sinner Chapeau, maybe. One of those two for sure. Let's see how Novak plays this game on his serve. He has the double break now to win the match in 3 sets, unforced error. You see on this forehand down the line, his body weight goes completely backwards and usually he takes early and he's ready to follow with his full body. Oh, Cressy, yes, thank you, Misek. That was the name of the player who hit that ace that he didn't do on purpose, and that was the slowest ace in the history. And by the way, it's funny because he's a player who is very tall and who used to serve super strong, so to hit the slowest ace in the history for him is quite funny. Cédric Roquette Tennis is writing to me. Talking about slow tennis, Indian Wells court is known to be the slowest hard court on tour, slower than Spanish clay. How can hard court be so slow? Climate, surfacing, etc.? Question marks. Very good question. Thank you, Cédric. Oh la la. Lucky forehand for Novak. Oh la la. It was funny. A bit lucky. So that's a very good question. You know what? They measured the pace of the court this year, and it's way faster than the previous years. Why? They changed the ball. So you know, it's always a combination between weather conditions, whether it's humid or dry or altitude or not. You know, it's a few factors, and then but this you cannot do anything about it. What you can do something about it is the surface in itself. You can make the surface slower or faster. This is a choice, and the balls, because the balls have a big impact on the pace of the game. They used to play with pen, and they changed to Dunlop. And all the players, not all the players, by the way, some still complain, but measuring-wise, the surface is way faster this year. Now it's kind of normal compared to the other hard courts. Oh, unbelievable match point. Unbelievable match point at the net for Novak, who's laughing and who won in 3 sets. The set 2 and set 3 were way easier than the first one, where he was down a double break quite fast. He won 6-1, 6-2. Sets 2 and 3 is playing violin on his racket now. So happy. Okay, so but the statistics are interesting. So let's see what are the statistics in the third set, because second set statistics were worrying. It's crazy how different they are, because look at just the percentage of points won on second serve. First set, 20% for Novak. Yeah? Second set, 33% for Novak. Incredibly low, especially against a player who's ranked 50 in the world. Third set, 86%. Day and night. And the percentage of points won after his first serve was not good in the first and the third set for him. 75 in the first set, 71 in the third. If you look at the Australian Open, Novak was so good holding his serve because he was serving so precisely. And after his serve, he was winning the point. And he was serving a lot of aces also. Second serve was on point, very precise too. He was taking risks, but without not crazy risks, because he didn't double fault much. That's, all the top players, they're able to do that. When it comes to these matches that are non-Grand Slam matches, as he struggles really to keep his motivation and focus. He doesn't focus enough on his serve. And then in the game, he's making too many unforced errors and doesn't really have directions, but he found the directions back in the second and the third, and he ends up, I mean, if you forget about the first serve, it's a 6-2, 6-1, 6-2 win, so it's quite solid. So happy to see Novak winning, I mean, it's crazy to say it, but I'm happy to see Novak winning his first round in Indian Wells. He didn't do it last year. He didn't do it in many tournaments because, again, lack of motivation. So it's great. We want to see him go further and quite far in those tournaments, because I'm personally convinced that on the way to building his confidence back, he has a lot of confidence from his, of course, from history, from his record, from who he is, from all that, but he needs to win or to be in the semis or the finals of those tournaments too. I understand he cannot play too much and he should not, but when he plays and he wins. And then I'm sure he will not have to play a tournament the week before a Grand Slam because he didn't have enough matches before. And he will... Oh, and at the moment, Rublev just lost a match against Yellow, which is a big surprise. A very big surprise. It's going to be 100% a Canadian match in the next round because Yellow will play against Felix Auger-Aliassime in the next round. I mean, that's great for Arthur Fils. He was supposed to play Musetti, but Musetti lost to Fucsovic. And then he was supposed to play either Auger-Aliassime or Rublev, and he's going to play either Felix or Diallo. A lot of surprises on this top part of the bottom part of the draw. We have also a Koboli Tiafo who's going to be very fun to watch. I can't wait. Shelton Teen, as we said. Potentially, if Tommy Paul wins, Fonseca against Tommy Paul. Yeah, I want to see Novak being fully fit when he plays the Sinners and Alcaraz in the semis and the finals of the Grand Slams. And for that, he can't afford to play and win a tournament just a week before a Grand Slam. So he needs to win the matches before that. Thank you for watching this. We're going to, of course, watch the match, theoretically the most exciting match of the night, which is Dimitrov Alcaraz. How exciting that is. Well, a few things first about those two players. Of course, you know both of them. You can only know them. They're not in the same state of form. Carlos Alcaraz, for the last 2 seasons, is playing an incredible level. He hasn't lost a single match since the start of the season. He played 2 tournaments. He won both. He won first the Australian Open, of course, and then he won Doha. Cannot say the same about Grigor, who had a many tough months after getting injured in Wimbledon. Against Sinner, he was playing incredible. Everybody thought he's going to win this match, and on one serve his pec broke. He had to have surgery. It took him many months, and the start of the season is difficult in terms of finding back his best level. He won literally 2 matches since January. Lost in the second round in Brisbane, lost in the first round in Melbourne, first round in Dallas, first round in Acapulco. He won his first match here against Atman, who beat him, by the way, in Acapulco. 6-4 in the third. I hope he recovered well because he doesn't have a lot of matches under his belt. And he has the ultimate challenge today because he's going to play against the guy who hasn't been beaten once since the start of the season, Carlos Alcaraz. More than that, is on the way to potentially, if he continues, a lot of question marks, of course, he's very early in his career, but he won so many Grand Slams already at such a young age. If he continues on the same rhythm, he potentially can beat the record of all times of Novak Djokovic. But of course, this is pure fiction because so many things can happen throughout a career. But just to say that the bases of the start of his career are incredible, unreal to win that number of Grand Slams. It took Novak, Roger, and Rafa many more years to be able to have as many Grand Slams. So, and he's playing at a time when Yannick Sinner is winning quite a few also. So that's really incredible. What is also interesting is that whenever they played each other, most of the time the matches were incredible. We have a few statistics to share with you to illustrate what it's going to be about in this match. Our analytics team has worked. Let's focus on the serve. Alcaraz has been broken 5 times on his way to winning Doha. Only 5 times. He won 91% of the games he played on his serve. The average of tour is 81%. His own average is 86, and he won 91 in Doha. So that was a tournament that he played before Indian Wells. He won 75% of the points behind his first serve, 57 on after his second, which is a 10% increase compared to last season on first serve. That shows potentially the change, the technical change he made on his serve, imitating a little bit Novak Djokovic at the start, having the racket head really go down. down to find more whip effect. It looks like it paid, and he has more efficiency on his serve in 2026 compared to 2025. So that's for the serve, but it's not only... We can look at Dimitrov's serve now. He wins usually 79% on his first serve. 43% of his first serves are unreturned. Alcaraz only 29%, so it's a lot. But for the moment, in 2025, he serves only 59% of first serves, which is quite low compared to, for example, the player who's going to be on the other side of the court. And he wins only 45% after his second. So that's why his percentage of first serve is going to be a key. What else can we say? We can also talk about the game, more generally speaking. Both of the players are running around their backhand a lot. But Carlos did it less in Doha. He played only 52% of forehands, which is quite low compared to what he usually does. Dimitrov, 60%. Both of the players love to, as I said, run around the backhand to use their forehand. Another shot that has been very efficient in Doha for Carlos was the backhand down the line, which is a little key when the opponent is running around his backhand, because he's leaving the down the line more open because he's preparing to move around. So when you have the down the line, you hit a lot of winners. And second, you prevent your opponent from being able to run around the backhand because he's scared about having to face a backhand down the line. What is interesting is how Grigor defeat Alcaraz in Miami in 2024. And actually, that's the same tactics that he used against Sinner in Wimbledon, and he was in a position potentially to beat him. He went to the net a lot and he won 77% of the points at the net. He's a player who's good. He's good at the net, and he's better when he plays with the intention to follow at the net. That's another thing. He returned really well, and he returned closer, which caused Carlos to have less time to run around his backhand. And also he was more aggressive on second serve. He was closer to the baseline on both, returning both on first and second serve. He was on the baseline to return first, like now. And he was 1 meter inside to return second serve, which is a lot, really, really much. He was taking the ball very early and able to dictate the point way more. And as he was close to the baseline, he was able to open the court and make Carlos run a lot, and pushing him to the sides and open the court on the next one. Hi, Joseph. He's the key. Welcome to the chat. Thank you, my friend. Happy to watch this very exciting match with you. And it's interesting to see that when Grigor is playing close to the baseline, when Grigor has a lot of attention, when Grigor comes to the net a lot, that's how he plays his best. And the big question is, why does he do it almost only when he plays the top guys? I mean, because you see, when he plays the top guys, a lot of times he's able to cause them a lot of problems. And even if he doesn't win, at least it's a very tough match for the guys. And sometimes he can beat them, like when he beat Carlos in Miami in 2024. So imagine if he would do this all year long. That's a key for him. I know that's something that he wants to improve. He wants to be more offensive, come to the net more, because he knows that's how he plays his best tennis. I'm sure he's going to do it today. Anyway, he knows that if he's a bit far from the baseline, or not even far, but not very close, he's going to be destroyed by Carlos. So I know he's going to do it, and that's going to be interesting to see if once again he can cause problem to the Spaniard, who again didn't lose one single match in 2026. I don't know if he's going to slice his backhand as much as usual. I hope for him not, because as you just saw in the previous point, when he does, he gives time to Carlos to run around his backhand, and he's going to be the one in charge of the rallies. Wow, unbelievable the way Grigor was able to counterpunch this forehand cross crazy fast from Alcaraz, just redirecting the ball down the line. That was amazing. Joseph, I would love to give you a good answer about Alex Eala, but unfortunately I've never met her before. I love her game. I love her style. I love the fact that despite the fact that she's very short, she's able to play that level. She's very close to the baseline. She takes time away, as we're seeing David Nalbandian, who's the new coach of Grigor Dimitrov. Actually, it's something that I forgot to say. I hope those guys will be successful. I mean, good tennis from the start from Grigor. Really in charge, really hitting the ball very hard, a lot of intention on every shot. He knows he plays one shot without intention, he's done. So that pushes him, and that's why a lot of times some players play their best matches when they play the best players, because their intention level is way higher. I always talk about intention of play because that's so important in tennis. And your intention can be 1 out of 10, can be 5, can be 6, can be 8, or can be 10. 10. And if you're able to manage the 10, it doesn't mean that you try to hit a winner on every shot. Talking about intention. If you manage to be at 10, you give yourself the chance at least to play your best tennis. Korda just won the first set against Dominor. So yes, to come back to Ella, I really like her style. I think she's using fully her potential, and I think she can even go higher than where she is now. She's going to play against Coco next round. It's going to be a tough one because if I remember well, last time she played her, she got crushed. Remember that we said before the match, Grigor won 77% of the points when it came to the net. It just did, and it just won it. Hi, Stefaru. Yeah, you're back. Of course, I'm commentating on Twitch. I told you guys that I would do many more tournaments, and this one is one of the tournaments that you don't want to miss. It's so amazing. All the best players in the world are here. It's considered as tennis paradise, but also a little Grand Slam in reference to the quality of the players, but also quality of the stadium. It's really cool to see an Albanian coaching. It's a good question, Stefaru, about the role of the tournament director. Let me just finish that rally. Amazing forehand from Grigor, 1 game all. Well, I think so. The influence of the tournament director, it depends on the Grand Slam. Depends on the tournament. Sometimes the tournament director is very operational, which means that he's really much into operations. And in this case, he plays a huge role in choosing the wildcards. Sometimes it's more a name. They like to use former players for that to be tournament directors, and their role is more representation than really be operating. It depends on the tournament. In theory, they should be the ones deciding about the wild cards. Are you asking the question because they didn't give the wild card to Stan Wawrinka here in Indian Wells? I feel so. Mira Andreeva just beat Sierra 6-0, 6-0. Wow, that's rare. That's really rare. For those who didn't watch the matches before, Djokovic won in 3 sets. After a very bad first set, he raised his level 1-6, 1-6-2 the next 2 sets. Diallo beat Rublev, which is a big surprise. Fonseca beat Kachanov. Yeah, a bit erratic on the serve for the moment. Alcaraz, only 33% of first serves. That's very, very low. Oh, what a forehand inside out. The zone is absolutely incredible. To find this short zone, can't do anything with this. It's a winner for sure. Whoa. Bit lucky the backhand return winner of Grigor, but it worked because of the intention. Again, look. He returned flat and he has the intention to follow at the net. So his body weight goes forward. By the way, if you want to work on that, being aggressive on second serve, something that's really working great is to, at practice, return the second serve, being aggressive, and follow at the net. Because when you follow at the net, your body weight transfer is full. So it's working incredibly well. 2-1 Alcaraz, but we feel that Carlos will have to play full without up and downs today because Grigor is here, and even though he won only 2 matches this season so far, a little bit like Gael Monfils yesterday, who played against Felix Auger-Aliassime. It's the same for him. He hasn't won many matches this year, very few. But when it comes to the big matches, on the big stadiums against the big players, they're able to lift their level. And coming back to a comment I've heard a lot, the fact that Novak has beaten Sinner shows that Sinner is not that good because Novak is 39. Or if Gael Monfils beats Felix, it will show that the top 10s are weak. I have 2 things to say. First, it's 1 match. Anything can happen on 1 match. Second, I don't know why being older means you're weaker. Of course, they don't make the same seasons, Gael or Novak, as they were doing before because the motivation is not as high. But on a big match, they can play. They can really play, first. And second, age also gives experience. What about the experience of Novak being 39? Okay, but or 38. But he has won 25 Grand Slams. He knows how to win better than anybody on that planet. So what do you do with that? This is an advantage when you play a guy who's 24, who has way less experience, who's under pressure. So you have to take this into consideration too. Big mistake from Carlos Alcaraz. This backhand was really, really far. Another miss, but the rally was going really fast. And you see that early in the rally, Carlos goes backhand down the line, trying to surprise Grigor, getting ready to turn around his backhand. I understand, Stefaru, why you ask me about the tournament director, because You saw Tommy Haas watching. I cannot say if the role of Tommy Haas is more representation or more being involved in the decisions and the daily decisions of that tournament. What is sure is that the tournament director of the Australian Open was really hands-on. What an incredible volley from Carlos. Really hands-on, and he made this tournament become something. I mean, it's a Grand Slam, so it's huge already, but even way bigger. And he was involved also because he was also the president of the Australian Federation. So he had both roles, which is huge. And I think everybody agrees that he did an incredible job, and that's why he got hired by the American Federation, the USTA, because he became the CEO of the USTA, and he's not going to be the tournament director anymore of the Australian Open in 2027. It's a big loss for Australian tennis in general, whether it's the Federation or the Australian Open. Double fault. So far, big difference on second serves because Carlos won 86% of the point on his second and Grigor only 33%. But Grigor won 100% on his first serve, and we said that the percentage of first serve is going to be key. It's too low for Grigor so far, 45%. Backhand down the line. Yeah, I mean, Carlos really inside the court, taking the ball so early, taking time away from Grigor, who can't organize, who can't really run around his backhand. He's trying to respond to the pace that Carlos imposes. And I can tell you the pace that he imposes at the moment is really high. And he passed his first serve twice, but lost the point twice and the break. So Grigor started really, really well the match, but the level of Carlos is quite incredible since the start of the match. He knows, as I said, he knows he has to play really full serve and then forehand winner straight away. Beautiful image of that stadium, which is huge. Oh la la, what a miss. An example of complete loss of focus on that volley. Because for a player of that level, I don't know how it's possible to miss this one. Great slice, very short. Serve and volley again for Carlos. If you want to work on your serves, guys, work on the slice serve short with a lot of slice. So the ball will really escape out of the court and push the opponent far to the side. And that will completely open the court for the next shot. Karen Carlos needs his serve. The serve is here. And another serve and volley for Carlos. Nice drop volley. And break confirmed. 4-1 for Alcaraz. And we can't say that Grigor is not playing well. He's really doing his match so far. But the bar is really, really high. You can tell me it's always high, but that's not true. On the first rounds of the tournaments, Carlos sometimes is really very much up and down. That's why a lot of guys sometimes are worried, thinking, oh, wow, he doesn't play well. Yeah, don't worry. When it comes to the big matches, he's going to give 100%. But he takes this match extremely seriously. You know how dangerous Grigor can be potentially. He knows he cannot afford to play half or be half focused or be up and down. A bit strange statistics so far because Carlos wins way more points after his second serve than after his first. Only 60% after his first, but 86 after his second serve. And Grigor only 33 after his second serve. What does it tell us? It tells us that whenever there is a rally without a big advantage given by the first serve, Carlos is winning most of the points because he won 86 after his second, in a way 77 after his opponent's second serve. So whenever, again, there is a rally without an advantage from either one or the other player, he wins most of the points. First ace for Grigor. Yeah, we said it before the match. Grigor's percentage of first serve is too low. But as he's someone winning a lot of points after his first serve, he needs to raise it. It's very important. The drop shot of Carlos was not very well executed. And on top of it, Grigor was close to the baseline and he kind of anticipated it. So he was there early and he could make the forehand winner on it. And another first serve. And he didn't lose one single point in that game. I know Grigor extremely well because he grew at my tennis academy. I met him first when he was 13 years old. I saw him play in Les Petits As in Tarbes, which is the World Championship under 14. And I was really impressed. And at that time, I was coaching Marcos Baghdadis. And I needed a hitting partner. Of course, I didn't want him to become a hitting partner, but I invited him a few times to my tennis academy in south of France, even though at that time I was in Paris, but now it's in South, to practice with Marcos. And then when Grigor was 17, he went full time to the academy. And after 3 years, I think, I started to coach him. And actually, when I started to coach Serena, I was still coaching him and I was doing both. Is the nicest guy you can imagine. Incredibly nice. Such a a great person. Yeah, we said before the match that the tactic of Grigor when he beat Carlos in 2024 in Miami was to be super aggressive on the opponent's second serve. Return from being inside the baseline. That's how he took time away from Carlos, and that's how he really kind of made the difference. He's trying to do the same tonight, but without any efficiency, because when he returned from inside the baseline in this match so far, he didn't win a single point. And I would say the main reason for that is the quality of the second serve of Carlos that improved so much. If you look at the second serve of Carlos in 2024 and now, it's a huge difference. Now he's really going for his shot. He's serving really fast. His second serve, it's almost a first. And even returning the first serve of Carlos is difficult for Grigor. You have a good example here. Because Grigor took the decision to stand on the baseline to return Carlos's first and to be 1 meter inside to return Carlos's second serve. But the thing is, Carlos' first serve is faster than at that time, and his second serve even more. So it's very difficult to be able to return well on those ones, and that explains probably why he's struggling so far. And it's a 5-2 lead for Carlos Alcaraz in that match. While Korda and de Minaur are still fighting, 6-4 Korda, 3-2 Korda, no break. So Stefaru is asking me if there is any statistic where Grigor is actually outperforming Carlos in this match right now, or to rephrase it, is there anything Grigor can do against Carlos in this match? Okay, so the statistics, the only one in which Grigor is better is the percentage of points won after his first serve, because he's at 82, which is crazy high, and 69 only for Carlos. But we knew it before the match, and we said before the match, percentage of points won by Grigor after his first serve is really high in general. So that's why it's very important that he's able to serve a high percentage of first serves, which he didn't do at the start of the match and got broken. But now his percentage is up to 65%. So to answer you clearly, see another good first serve. He has to maintain a percentage of first serve over 65%, 65 or more. That's one key. And I think it's the right tactic to be very offensive on Carlos's second serves. Maybe he's going to start to get used to the pace and start to do better and better. That's an incredible shot from Carlos. He was so far to the side in defense and was able to hit a forehand down the line winner. That's really amazing shot. Incredible. I'm curious to see the level that Daniil Medvedev is going to play in his first round, because he was crazy. He was stuck in Dubai for such a long time after winning the title. He ended up finding a way to escape Dubai, driving to Oman maybe 5 hours, and then taking a flight to Europe or North Africa. And he arrived to Indian Wells really late. We know that the conditions in Indian Wells are really special because there is a little bit of altitude, so the balls are really, really hard. Usually, I don't know this year, I'm not there, and I know that to control the ball, it's always very difficult. It's flying a lot. It requires a few days to get used to it. So I'm curious to know the level he's going to play. That was a set point for Alcaraz. That would have been a double break, by the way. Ooh. And de Minaur just saved a break point in the second. Another set point for Alcaraz after this backhand missed in the net by Grigor. Advantage Alcaraz. Grigor needs the first serve. He doesn't have it. Let's see what's happening on the second. That's a good second serve, but very good return deep from Carlos. Oh, the slice backhand from Dimitrov is completely missed. 6-2 Alcaraz. Comfortable. Even though those guys had always really close matches. You have one player who is fully confident, difficult to be more. I'm talking about Carlos Alcaraz, and one who's not at all because he didn't win much lately, coming back from an injury, a very bad injury. So that makes a difference, and that explains the 6-2. Let's see if in the second set, Grigor is able to bounce back and start to get used to that pace that is so much higher than what he experiences most of the year. 1-0 Alcaraz in that second set, 6-2 in the first set. And I have a few questions to answer. One from the eminent Cédric Roquette. I don't know if eminent is an English word. It's a French one for sure. I think that people underestimate how Alcaraz is dominating at the moment. He won 50% of the last 14 latest Grand Slam played since September 2022. He deprived Sinner of the 2 slams on which he has the more chances on hard courts, Australian Open and US Open. Are we entering a big one era? Well, it's a very good question. And this record of Carlos having already 7 Grand Slams, being that young, it's unique in the history. The fact that he won the last 2 also sends a message, but we have to be careful because we can't underestimate Sinner. That would be a mistake, even though he lost 2 surprising matches, let's say it, because against Novak he was used to winning, won the last 5 before losing this one in the semis of the Australian Open and then lost Mensik in Doha. He's there, he's playing an incredible level. You can't count him out. It's just because he didn't win. I mean, of course, Carlos won the last 2 Grand Slams, but they are sharing the Grand Slams for the last 2 years. So it's something that, we need to also take into this consideration. So let's not count out Yannick Sinner. Carlos is 22 years old, so 7 Grand Slams. When he was 22, Rafa had 4, Roger had 1, and Novak had 1, Australia. So just to say how impressive that is. Lewis Chapman analysis. To add to this, he has the chance to have won every Grand Slam twice at next year's Australian Open at the age of 23. Djokovic only managed to do this at the age of 34. Nadal at 35. It's unprecedented domination. Yes. But again, we will count on Yannick Sinner because I think in terms of level, they're still close. This Roland Garros, he had to face two match points against Yannick. And if he would have lost one of these, so 1 point would have made a big difference. Yannick would have won 3 Grand Slams. And Carlos only won last year. So they're really close. And I think the real question is, with the winning streak that he has at the moment, can Alcaraz go to even a higher level? And this higher level, would it be high enough so that Yannick Sinner cannot match with him as much as he did in the past? That's the real question. But from what we've seen so far in the last 2 years, they're extremely close in terms of level. That's an incredible shot down the line from Dimitrov on the run, on that backhand down the line. A little bit short backhand down the line from Carlos. And that's also why Grigor was able to counterpunch him that well. And Dominor has made the break 5-3 in the second against Korda. Great return from Grigor and break point in the best point. I mean, same tactics. Return from inside the baseline, taking the ball early, taking time away from Carlos. We said that's the right tactic, but he has to be able to apply it well. He hasn't been able in the first set, but he keeps the same tactics. And the question was, will he get used to the pace and start to do better? At the start of the second set, it looks like it. Oh, that's a big miss. Big miss from Grigor. He had the break point, and this forehand didn't go out of the racket. It really gets stuck in the racket and ended up in the net. Nerad 4F4. Nice to meet you. It's your first time on the chat. Welcome here. Feel free to ask any question or make any comment. We're here to discuss that match and tennis in general, of course, but also that match between Alcaraz and Dimitrov. Grigor will not have a lot of occasions. It's very important, of course, that he's able to make them and not make an avoidable mistake on those ones. So good, the drop shot from Carlos. Played behind Grigor, who was unable to reach it. I owe you guys a little explanation because I said, of course, that being able to transform those occasions will be a key. I mean, winning a match is so much about a few points. The break points for sure, but also a lot of other points at 30 all, at 15-30. These are the key points. And I'm always referring to that match, the semi-final of the Australian Open between Novak and Yannick Sinner. And when you found out that during that match, Sinner won 12 points, or I don't remember if it's 12 or 16 points, more than Novak, and ended up losing the match, just says that if you have to tell the story of the match, Novak was better on the key moments, on the important points. And actually, he won many more of those points than Yannick. And that explains also why when players have confidence, because of matches they won before, enough matches, they start to feel more confident. And because they feel more confident, they're better on all those important points during the match. TV, they're showing the view of the stadium, and more than the stadium, what's around the stadium with those mountains. The decor is just, once again, completely insane. 2-1 Alcaraz. Grigor back to serve in the second set. Second serve again. Wow. What a forehand on the line. We have statistics to Nerad F4. Yes, as I said, so far is on his way to become the greatest of all times, Carlos. But it's just at the start of his career, and so many things can happen. He can get an injury. There can be a third guy coming up. Sinner can, raise his level. We don't know what's going to happen. So we have a statistic that is interesting on that first set, 1-6-2 by Alcaraz against Dimitrov. And it's going to be on the screen. It is on the screen now. Alcaraz has played his forehand on 100% of the serve after +1 behind his second serve. That's crazy. One of the reasons for that is that on second serves, on first two, but Grigor Grigor is slicing the backhand, so the ball is not traveling really fast because it's sliced, and it gives time for Carlos to run around his backhand and hit forehands. And when he's in that position, he's incredibly dangerous. 30-all, danger again. No. Didn't really make the effort, Carlos, on that slice forehand. There was no reason to slice it. He was a bit caught off guard, but he could have still accelerated the forehand rather than slicing it. It's a tough start for our Argentinian friend as the coach of Grigor, because he played three matches so far. First, he lost against Atman. Second, he beat Atman 6-4 in the third, and that's the third one. Hi, Bissell. First time you're on the chat too. Welcome to the chat. Feel free to leave a commentary or ask a question. We're here to chat, and I'm doing really well. And even though for the moment Carlos is really dominating the match without any doubt, it's still very pleasant, very high quality match on both sides. But of course, Carlos at the moment is playing way too good for anybody. Stefaro is asking why Grigor is slicing the second serve. That's a good question. He should not, but it's more comfortable. Players feel more secure slicing the backhand, but that's not always a good option. And actually, if you look at the matches between Federer and Nadal, the year Federer started to beat Nadal at the end of his career, it was also the time he decided to attack the returns flat with his backhand rather than slicing them. And it made a big difference, and same in the game. But before answering the question, I just want to tell you something, because we had this discussion about the speed of that court, which historically is one of the slowest hard court on tour, Indian Wells. They've changed the ball this year, started to play with Dunlop, and when we measured the pace of the court, it was obvious that the court plays faster this year. It just has been confirmed in a press conference by Iga Swiatek, who said it's not as slow as it was before. It's still slower than some tournaments, but it's not like surprisingly slow as it was before. So they clearly accelerated the pace of the court by changing the balls, which makes a big difference. And Nerad F4 is saying that many great players have gotten injured. When Del Potro beat Federer at the US Open years ago, I thought he was going to become one of the great players. Yeah, he was a great player, but you're right. I think that's what you mean, that he never won another Grand Slam after this one, which could have been surprising. He was young. He beat Federer in the final of a Grand Slam. But yeah, injuries are really part of the game. Look at how many players are injured or got injured. Arthur Fils from Roland Garros to almost 8 months. Grigor, who's on the court at the moment, almost maybe 7 months. Draper, very bad injury, and actually got injured almost 6 months every year for many years now. That's a few that come to my mind. Fonseca was not a bad injury, but still the Australian Open had a back problem, and he said it's a recurrent problem. Yeah, Felix Auger-Aliassime got injured quite a lot too. So yeah, it's a big problem. That's why I say we never know. Maybe Carlo, I don't hope it for him at all, but he can get injured and his career can take a different turn. So yes, for the moment, he's broken all the records for someone his age. So Ali 1111 is asking, hi coach, seeing how well Alcaraz is doing, do you think he might ever want Ferrero back full-time in his team? Well, that was a big question mark at the start of the season, because he had been with Alcaraz for so long and he was doing so well. So we thought, wow, to lose Ferrero, there's a big question mark. Is he going to be able to perform at the same level or not? And he gave the answer on the court by making the best start of the season ever. So there is a rule: when things are working, don't change them. So you can say, but he should not have changed Ferrero. Apparently, there were problems. But when you have a team, everything goes well relationship-wise, and you make great results, you don't change. So unless he starts to experience tougher moments, I doubt he will want to have Ferrero back. Which players could benefit from faster courts? I think it's good for Novak. I think it's good for Yannick. I also think it's great for Carlos. And then the big servers, for sure. Potentially the next opponent of Carlos, if he wins, would be Rinderknecht, serving really big. And players like Hugo Humbert, players who hit the ball really early, flat. Yeah, I have an update from my team saying that in that second set so far, Grigor has been able to find more depth on the return on his backhand. So he's making it a bit more difficult for Carlos on his second serves. Let's see what the stats are saying. Wow. impressive. Grigor points 1 on second, only 29%, and 89 on first. Yeah, again, we said percentage of first serve is key. You understand why, huh? Well, really well played by Grigor, moving Carlos side to side at a very high pace. Grigor playing really well from the baseline. Super offensive, as we said. That was important for him. That was key. If he wanted to have a chance, he had to stay on the baseline or inside as much as possible, come to the net as much as possible, take time away from Carlos to avoid letting him play and dictate. And you know, he respects the game plan. He didn't do it well enough in the first set, but the more time passes, the more he gets used also to the general pace of the match, and the better he can do it. Slice out wide, forehand down the line. The classic that Carlos does so well. And another shot, we don't say it much, that Carlos does incredibly well is the lob. He's unbelievable at drop shots and lob. And that's why also such an incredible player, because not only is great when it comes to the important moments of the matches, such a great competitor, but also he can do anything with the racket. He has incredible power, he has incredible touch, he's great from the baseline, he's great at the net, he's great at drop shots, he's great at lobs. Tough to beat, huh? And for someone his height, he's serving incredibly well too, on both first and second serve. Oh, too good. That made Grigor laugh. That was cool. They did a high five together at the net because the level that Carlos showed in that last rally was insane. To play at that level that fast, and the last forehand was a joke. I don't know how fast that was, but that was incredibly fast with a great feeling of control at the same time. And I think that's the excitement around Fonseca. And I'm not saying that he's not a great player, because he's a great potential, unbelievable potential. I think one of the reasons is because he has these two. He can change the pace on one shot and go from playing fast to hitting a winner at a crazy pace. And he can do it both with his forehand and his backhand. It's funny, Stefaru, what you're saying. Does Carlos play on 1.5 speed? His movement and his shots are so fast. But that's true. That's what I was saying. He's playing faster than anyone. Him and Sinner. They impose a rhythm that is way higher than anyone else on tour. So not many players can match that. Great return. Danger, in danger, Grigor. Love 30. Hello, Harnor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How are you? And thank you, I'm well, and I hope you're doing well too. Welcome to the chat. It's your first time. We're watching Grigor Dimitrov against Carlos Alcaraz in Indian Wells. We're enjoying a lot the quality of the tennis that those guys are producing, even though for the moment Alcaraz is playing one level above. And 2 break points for Alcaraz, coming to the net, putting pressure on Grigor on his backhand side. That's why also this player is so good, because he feels the match, he knows what to do at the right time, and he's able to execute it well under pressure. And one thing that really struck me during Roland Garros, when he has to face the 2 match points against Sinner in the final, his team is really nervous, which is completely understandable. And he's looking at them and he's telling them, guys, don't worry, I got this. Usually the coach's role is to make the player feel more relaxed, more calm. He was doing it for the coach. That's unreal. And Alcaraz just broke, and that's the feeling that he gives against almost anybody, is that when he needs to break, he presses the button and his level goes and he makes it. That's crazy. Grigor is playing better in that second set than in the first, and he's going to be with new balls, by the way. The statistic that I have is that in the first set, 67% of Grigor's first serves were landing in Carlos's forehand, and in the second, 75% on Grigor's returns on the first serves of Carlos are landing on Carlos's backhand. So just he adjusted and he's doing better, but Carlos has raised the level even to another level. I agree. Too good. Nerad for F4, I agree with you. Grigor doesn't look like he's going to win today, but I think he's playing a very good match, but Carlos's level is just too high, way too high. And it would be too high, I think, for anyone today, except maybe Sinner and maybe Novak, and they would be more of a match. But thank you, Grigor. You returned flat on second serve, and of course, it's a big difference. Big difference. Take time away to your opponent. Put him on the back foot. If you slice, He has time to organize, and he's going to be dictating. And too much points for Carlos Alcaraz. Yeah, I can feel that the level. I mean, Carlos is Carlos. He's always Carlos, but he can be more or less confident depending on the season. At the moment, his confidence is at 10 out of 10. Unbelievable. And he finishes the match with an ace. It was way too good today. Way too good for Grigor, and even a good Grigor, because I think Grigor played a very good match, but this is something else. And what a pleasure to see those two guys playing such great tennis. I really enjoyed a lot, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, guys. Thank you very much for being here again today. We'll be back tomorrow. We have a great program. We'll see what we're going to do. We'll decide which match. Probably, let me look at it, either Shelton Tien or Sinner Shapovalov. Those two matches sound really exciting, so we're going to do one of those two. I wish you a great night for the Europeans. I need to go back to sleep. I need to go to sleep. It's already 2:35 a.m. And for the Americans, lucky you, you're going to enjoy the rest of the day watching some great tennis. I wish you